MCP, it stands for Model Context Protocol. And as the word suggests, it is a protocol, which means a standardized way of doing something. Now, to understand Model Context Protocol in layman terms, it is a standardized way of building AI agents. And to understand the hype behind this MCP, we need to understand why MCP is so important. And to understand why MCP is so important, let's understand AI agent history. Now, AI agent history starts with the beginning of LLMs. What LLM is? LLM is basically a large language model where you give some input and it is able to give you some output. LLM in itself is decently powerful, but it is only able to provide us some output without doing any actions. So that's where phase 2 began with AI agents. And what AI agents is, we are providing some tools to LLM so that it can also perform actions. So now LLM can decide and it can also perform actions. So in the AI agent scene, you can see that we are giving in some input. LLM has three tools like get emails, send emails, and as well as delete emails. And after performing these tasks, it is simply giving us some output. Now the problem behind these AI agent is that we have even if I'm interacting with Gmail, there can be so many endpoints, and we have to hard code these endpoints every single time. Now, even though hard coding is not an issue right now, but as soon as there is any upgradation of any API, this entire automation is going to fail. Now, AI agents in itself is very powerful, but since they are hard coded, it's not very scalable. Now, let's try to solve this problem using MCP. So, what MCP does is MCP sits on top of all these tools. So, for example, if you talk about Gmail, so Gmail can have multiple endpoints, and to handle all the endpoints, we can have one Gmail MCP server, and that server will interact with LLM. And Gmail MCP server will take care of calling all these endpoints, whichever endpoint is necessary. Now, what is the benefit of doing this? So, benefit of doing this is I don't have to manually make sure that all the endpoints which I need is connected. I don't have to hard code the values in any of the agents. I don't have to make sure that get email from Gmail API is perfectly connected and everything is running fine. I don't have to make sure that send email is working fine. I don't have to make sure that delete email is working fine. I just have to make sure that Gmail MCP server is connected to my agent and everything will be taken care of. Now, to give you an example, let's see it in n8n. If I have a Gmail module, a Gmail module has so many endpoints. Now, every endpoint requires a specific set of input and will provide a different set of output. But hard coding all these endpoints, that's not a reliable system, because as soon as Gmail updates the API, the entire automation is going to fail. Now you can see I don't have to manually add any of the modules from Gmail. I just have to call this Gmail MCP server. I hope you understand why MCP is so important. I don't have to manually connect these tools. Rather, I can just plug and play this Gmail MCP server. I can ask, okay, you have to send this email. So it will take care of everything else. To give you another example, you can see that MCP server is more of a plug and play tool. So you can have Slack. So you can have Slack MCP server, you can have Gmail, you can have calendar, you can also have your personal IDE. And these MCP server will make sure that the MCP clients get the sufficient data, you are calling the correct endpoints, and the data propagation happens without any errors. Now that you understand how easy it is to add MCP server, let's understand how does an MCP server work on the backend. So any MCP system has three endpoints. First is a host, second we have client, and then we have an MCP server. Now MCP host is a platform where an MCP client can connect. So basically Claude or n8n or make.com, any of these platforms is a host to MCP. Now what MCP client is a tool which exists in MCP host and provides a connection with the MCP server. Now to give you an example, let's see it in this diagram. So we have a tools agent in n8n, and we have connected all these MCP server to this tool agent. So you can see that the entire platform n8n, that is the host, and these tools, each and every tool is an MCP client. And what this tool is doing is these MCP clients are calling the MCP server which is hosted on each of the company's clouds, and using that MCP server, it is fetching the data. So coming back on this diagram, we now understand what is MCP host and what is MCP clients. Now, what are MCP servers? So MCP server is something that is being maintained by the company. For example, if you mention Google Drive, so Google is going to take care that. So Google Drive team is going to take care of an MCP server. They will make sure that the MCP server can easily and directly fetch data from Google Drive and making sure that the data propagation is correct and also the security is also maintained. So MCP server comes under Google Drive's team, but MCP client and MCP host, that's third party items. Now, how does an MCP client communicates with MCP server? Now that's where MCP protocol comes in. An MCP protocol basically is a data propagation method, and this MCP protocol works by using JSON RPC version 2. And this MCP protocol works by using JSON RPC 2.0 as a data propagation method. So it's providing a JSON file from MCP client to MCP server. MCP client sends the data in a JSON format to this MCP server, and MCP server then does, and then MCP server calls the entire request, does the entire job, and turns the data. And then this MCP client is responsible to give the data to this MCP host. Awesome. Now let's understand what does MCP clients and MCP server provides us. So they give us three type of context. Every MCP server will give us three type of context. First is resource, second is tools, and then third is a prompt. Now what is resource? To make you understand what is resource, resource is basically an understanding of what all the MCP server can do. So if we go over n8n, you can see when I click on Gmail module, this is all the Gmail. So these are all the endpoints available from Gmail module. Now if there is a Gmail MCP server, these are its resources. So it can also give us all the type of things which a Gmail MCP server can do. So this is resources. Now what is tools? So after we have fetched what all things it can do, the next task is to do it. So tools is basically a part where we give a particular action that you have to send this email to the user. So we tell the server that you have to use this particular tool and this is the data, and using all this entire information, do the particular task. And this is what tools is. After resources and tools, we have prompts. And prompts is basically a prompt template which MCP server provides so that the client can communicate with the MCP server. So MCP server gives out some prompt templates that using these templates you can give me the data, and in that data I can easily understand, okay, this is the information which I can provide you. So that is where prompts come in. So prompt is basically a huge library of templates which simply suggests that these are the prompts which the MCP server can understand. To give you an example of another MCP server, we are using Airtable here. So in Airtable we have two tools. One is a list tool and second is an execution tool. This is a very clear depiction of resource as well as tools. So list tools basically tells us what all resources do we have. An execution tool does the entire task. So after the client knows, okay, this MCP server can do all these particular tasks, it's the MCP client's job to make sure that if you want to send out the email, it uses the correct tool, it gives out the correct information, and that the task is done. So all of this is being handled by MCP clients as well as MCP server. Now again, if you reflect back, if we were to do this using our current AI agent method, this would have taken a lot of time. We would be manually adjusting all the nodes, all the endpoints from Gmail module, and we would be manually sending out the data, which is a very big hassle. And if there is any change in the API, everything's gonna fail. So that is where MCP comes in. Gmail is going to make sure that the MCP server is maintained, and we just have to plug and play the MCP Gmail module. And as soon as we have that, the entire Gmail endpoints that's accessible to us. I hope you understand what MCP actually is. Now to give you another analogy of MCP, you can understand it like you go to a restaurant and you give your order to the waiter. It's a waiter job, and waiter takes your order to the kitchen, and then kitchen processes the entire task, gives the food to the waiter, and the waiter then provides the food to you. So what is happening? You requested waiter something. It's the waiter job take your request, give it to the kitchen, and it's the kitchen's job to provide the entire info, to prepare the food and give the food to the waiter. After the waiter has the food, it's the waiter's job to present the food in front of you. So that is what MCP clients and MCP server is doing. Consider MCP client as the waiter and MCP server as the kitchen behind the job. I hope this analogy makes sense to you. Alright, so now that you understand what MCP is and how it can actually revolutionize building AI agent, let's also understand the benefits of MCP. So MCP gives us some pre-built MCP servers which we can use easily to plug and play all the endpoints, all the different services into our automations. Second is security. Currently AI agents have no security. You can have your AI agent can do any other task and it won't be recorded other than the IP address. Whereas MCP servers will be able to keep logs, keep tracks of what is happening through which MCP server, which can help reduce any crimes which are being caused using these AI agents. Now that we understand what MCP is, we also need to understand that MCP is in development phase and there are going to be so many changes to this MCP right now. So what does the future for AI automation looks like? I just want to let you know that AI automation is not going to die. It's just that building these AI automation is gonna become very easy. So just to let you know, AI automation is not going to die. Rather, building these AI automation is going to become very easy for clients. So what does the future for building AI automations look like? After we're using MCP server, these security concerns are going to raise. So MCP server will have to introduce multiple level of security. One can be OAuth 2.0, which provides secure API access. Then there should also be an MCP registry so that we have a public repo where all the MCP servers are listed. Currently, we do have some platforms like Smithery. So Smithery has a lot of MCP servers, but again, this is not a single platform. There are multiple different platforms for MCP servers. So there should be a common platform where all the MCP servers can be listed, like an MCP registry. Now, MCP server will be best effective when it is used everywhere. So as different platforms are building their APIs for public uses, they also need to make sure that they are also building these MCP servers and also maintaining it. So industry-wide adoption of MCP servers is quite important, like in finance services, healthcare, or legal AI applications. So all these services which are already handling these APIs, they should also make sure that these MCP servers are also maintained, so that the entire load does not come on API. Rather, we can use MCP servers so that we can fetch correct data, and we are also able to make sure that these AI agents are secure. Great. So I hope you liked this particular video because there were so many videos, so many resources which I had to collect to make this entire video. There was so many information about MCP. So I hope I was able to summarize this correctly and you were able to understand what MCP is. If there is an issue related to MCP, feel free to drop a comment on this video, or you can join my Discord community where my team and me is always active to answer your questions. Alright, click on the subscribe button as well as the like button before you leave this video. We'll see you in the next one.